Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Late and Gay Edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are Minions Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
Sora Luna.
Hello.
SkepTok.
Hi, everybody.
We might get some more people. I don't know, but so far we've got 4. That's fantastic. How has your post-holiday period been, SkepTok?
Well, men don't have periods, but
I didn't say postpartum. I didn't say I didn't say para-Valentine. I said post-holiday.
My post-holiday period has been fine. It's been just completely characterized by recovery, resting, just hanging with the family, and got to catch up with some friends over the holidays, and that was kind of fun. But we mostly had a stay-at-home kind of Christmas, just because that's the easy thing to do anymore.
Thank you for linking the show, Assassin. Because I'm incompetent.
Assassin's here.
Yeah, Assassin's here. So we're not all by ourselves. Right. Excellent.
We're not shouting into the void. So anyway, yeah, it's been a nice, comfortable, easygoing post-Christmas Christmas.
But all the decorations are down, right? You're not one of those people.
No.
Oh no! All
I still have my tree up.
You still have your tree up.
We do have one.
Wow.
That is just an evergreen, but that's the only thing that's up. Everything else is pulled down.
Okay, so Sora, how long do you usually keep the tree up? Is this some family tradition, or do you just not get around to it? Oh, okay.
Why take it down at all?
Why would I take it down at all?
Because it's a live tree, and it'll just cause more and more mess. But usually until my birthday.
So you have like one tree that's like in a pot, and you put it outside and bring it back in.
No, we get a fresh cut tree every year.
Okay, so live in quotes. It's
yeah, I mean it was a live tree.
It was live.
Tree. It's slowly dying.
Yeah, a fresh killed tree.
There we go.
Lightly killed, mounted and decorated.
Giggity.
It's we have this German stand that's like
that makes it worse.
Heavy.
That makes it
And
worse.
it has this solid spike in the bottom of the water well, and you literally
Sounds German.
impale
Yeah.
the tree onto it. And using your foot, you garrote the base of the tree because it just gets these they're quite thick, solid metal cabling, and then you constrict it and garrote the.
Wow. Yeah,
Great,
that's
and it
German.
doesn't move. And then you
German,
fill it up with water. And to show how smart it has a little floaty buoy thing. So you fill it up until the little, like on a pressure cooker, it pops up and you have the red thing to say.
Turkey's
stop.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Gotta love the Germans.
Yep.
Well, I do like the Germans. The Germans amuse the hell out of me.
Sick bastards.
Yeah.
Nah, Germans are fun.
Just to show you what our Christmas tree did look like.
So let's just gas it at this point.
If you want to see it,
Well, we can see it, but I can't display it.
Ooh, very
it
pretty.
is.
You'd have to send me
Brenda
a link
does
to Discord or
Does an
That's very
amazing
nice.
job
something. Okay.
on that. So anyway, I just wanted to put that up there.
For the
Our
audience,
functional says
we're
he'll be
looking at a
right
picture of a nicely decorated, perfectly shaped tree.
Yes.
Okay.
I like the idea of the poinsettia decorations on the tree.
Howdy,
If
functional.
that's what those were. That's nice.
That's what they were. Those are very popular in Texas.
Making coffee.
Good job. Okay, so Sora, anything else you'd like to share with the class before we begin?
She's not Romanian. She's secretly German.
She impales when things need to be impaled. And
Giggity.
she marches when she needs to march.
Is that a joke?
Goose steps.
Yeah.
We meet again.
Always puts a D in front of her N's, especially when they name rivers.
Nice.
Make sure she pronounces her W's as V's.
Yeah.
Me.
What are
Well,
we doing
Mister.
here today?
I just don't want to get copy struck again, so I have to stay clear of the German music. They're very Teutonic about their
German?
copyright protection.
They're very German about their
Teutonic.
They're very,
copyright.
they're very German
Teutonic.
about-
Nice.
So, okay. Hey, Serenity.
Hi.
How are things in the holler?
It's good. It's funny. They keep going. There's going to be a bad storm. Nothing.
Yeah.
You're going to get sleet and ice. Nothing. I literally watched the clouds part as the storm went over ahead of us.
Oh, it's all up here.
I know. I was watching it going, well, Functional's fucked.
That
Watching the
nor'easter-
radar.
That nor'easter really looks like it's hitting, though, on the East Coast.
It is. It just missed us.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it was just a hole over where I live. Like, it just,
Wow.
and then we just got
You're
rained
lucky.
on. And that's
Yeah,
it.
You're lucky.
Yeah, we just got rained on. That's it.
It's having some really severe weather up there.
We gotta, because we haven't decided, because my mother has not made her mind up on her backup system yet. We have a bunch of bigger backup batteries for the house if anything goes sideways, and a bug stove. So if not, where's a piece of wood? Knock on wood. If power goes out, I should be good. Plus, we have all the animals. I can just let the outside cats in the house, and just let them all keep the house warm, because that's what it's gonna do.
So it says, "Hey, you want to see some German people play, some German-like people play Nintendo music?" Baby.
Not really. How about sucking the joy out of stuff?
Well, I mean, Kraftwerk was pretty fun. You know, pocket
Kraft.
calculator.
My mother loves them.
It drives me, Dieter.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
What was
That's
Dieter, and who
nuts.
was the other one?
I don't know.
Oh, darn it.
Who are we talking about? What?
Kraftwerk.
Kraftwerk.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
band,
God.
they're, I don't know what they're called.
Well, they're sort of like techno pop.
Techno.
Yeah.
German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Craig Ferguson used to sort
Make
of
jokes about them, yeah.
make jokes about them that I thought were pretty funny with him and the guy who did Jeff the gay robot. Was it Josh Robert Thompson? Yeah.
Yep.
And
Holy crap, they've had a lot of members. But the current members are Wolf Hutter, Henning Schmitz, Falk Riffenhagen, and George Bongartz. But they've had a lot of former members. Like a lot.
wow.
2, 3, 4.
Well, yeah, you
5,
have to
6,
be a
7, 8,
dysfunctional
9, 10,
German
11,
classical
12,
musician to be in that group. Just so you know.
They've had 17 past members.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the current members.
So is anything else going on in the holler? Just waiting for bad weather that never shows up. That's okay. That's like buying insurance and never using it. That's fine.
we have a second storm that's supposed to come next week, so we're
Okay.
going to see what that happens. But so far, so good. My Christmas decorations are still up. But I don't have the excuse of having a live tree. We have a plastic tree. I just haven't taken it down yet.
That's fine.
It's all good.
It's still cheerful, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, some people
good
I know
nightlight, too.
decorated for Halloween, and rather than take their Halloween decorations down, they just put tinsel and Santa hats and stuff on the skeletons and just left them out.
That's funny.
I have a cousin who has a old school, like one of the old school aluminum trees. And what they do is they leave it up all year round because it's just silver, and then they put like different holiday decorations on it.
Does it have
she's
the
gonna-
color wheel? Because you got to have the color wheel with the light, with the aluminum
believe
tree.
so.
That just
I believe
finishes
so.
it.
Because she's getting ready to take all the decorations off, and then she's going to put hearts all over it for Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she does. Because it's one, it's heavy as fuck, and two, it's massive.
Maybe
She's
it's
just
made in
like, screw
Germany.
it.
You know,
It wouldn't surprise me.
Germans would like an aluminum tree.
I have no doubt in my mind they would.
You know,
Torturous things.
probably tell us it was designed at the Fraunhofer Institute or something. I don't know. Anyway, hey, Functional, you got your coffee?
I do.
Is it good?
Nice.
Oh, you have no idea.
You know-
So,
Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, he just lost his audio.
Uh-oh.
Cat probably.
It was so good. That coffee just knocked him out.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back. to-
Sometimes coffee can be too good.
Yeah.
A little too good.
No audio
Yeah.
functional. Sorry.
No audio.
Yeah, no audio, buddy.
Oh, there he goes.
He'll be back.
You'll be back.
So there's a lot going on in the world. But before we get into all the stuff that I've got planned, is there anything that one of you people would like, fine people would like to bring up for us to discuss before we get into the planned fun?
No, I've mostly been ignoring it because at this point, most of it is out of my control. So what's freaking out gonna do?
Oh, everything's out of your control.
Yeah,
You
I'm
just-
just like, meh.
I think we started 2024 off on a positive note.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Japan. Yeah, woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't look.
Yeah.
Don't look over there. It's okay.
And then
Gojira?
then you see the anti-Semitic demonstrators in Canada, and the police are taking coffee to the protesters.
Oh God.
I saw pictures and movies of the cops up there taking cups of coffee to the protesters
Which ones?
who had stopped traffic and
Oh, those
you know,
ones.
yeah, one of those big cities, Toronto or Ottawa or something. You know, one of
Yeah, that was here.
fucking amazing. What is Sora? You and Functional need to do something about
Yeah.
Canada.
You should write a strongly worded letter to your prime minister.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That won't get him put on a list or anything like
Strongly
that. Not at
worded.
all.
Yeah,
God, that's that's actually a hazard up there.
it is. Yeah.
I would be afraid to speak out politically. I would never be as open politically as I am living in the United States.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky because you live in the United States.
And I live in a free state of the United States.
It would be hard to take all your money and stuff away, and you're retired, so you just don't care. So you can pretty much
Exactly.
do whatever you want.
I have freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult for sure.
Yeah.
As I was saying before, like it's such an easy fix. Unplug and replug the microphone in, and it works. But of course, StreamYard's being stupid.
Mhm.
You have to restart the whole page. So sorry about that.
Yep.
No, because as I was saying, I tempted fate last week in saying I don't get like sick, colds, flu, and
Yeah.
sure enough,
How'd
the
that
day
go
after
for
the
you?
show, I got a rather moderate bacterial infection in my lungs. So I've been sick all week, and this is pretty much I had one just before the show, but this is like first cup of coffee I've had like all week, and it tastes pretty fucking good. Oh my god. Yeah. So I came down with some pretty bad stuff. But I halfway through today, I was just like, hey, the clouds parted, and I was like, I feel better.
Yeah.
And as you can hear in my voice, I can actually talk, and it's not painful. It was pretty awful. So what I decided to do while Elwyn was at work, I decided I was going to make a huge dinner, and I made stuffing from scratch, and I had this corned beef roast that I'd been brining for the last 6 or 7 days,
Mm-hmm.
and some mashed potatoes with homemade gravy. It was so good, and just such perfect end of the day of this huge storm that Elwyn also had to come home from work through. So it was good. It was
Comfort
and especially after being sick and eating nothing but soup broth and crackers and things that are very, very gentle that I could easily consume. It was really, really, really nice to have something just so good that was my own two hands. Like everything came together, being so useless for the last 5 days, and then all of a sudden, everything just boom happened. It was great.
Well, we'll try not to get rid of your will to live too badly with tonight's topics. Since you only just became conscious
if I
again.
start coughing, I'm just going to mute myself.
It won't leave you without good reason. I
Yeah.
guarantee that.
So, Serenity,
Yo.
you were talking about the weather, right?
Yeah.
So we had some weather out here in California. Let me see. So you might recognize this picture. It's pretty famous. I don't know how famous it is worldwide, but this is a thing called the Lone Cypress, and this is the touristy beauty shot that you get from Carmel's 17-mile drive.
17-mile drive.
Pretty famous picture. We had very high tides, and there was a storm off at sea, just driving huge waves into the coast. This is a thing you do not see very often. Damn it. Okay, that's not working. Let's try this.
And Cypher's about to go bye-bye.
Wow.
That is not a thing that happens. The water does not usually splash up on the cypress. Yeah, that is not a thing that normally
That
happens.
is really uncommon.
Yeah, the waves were freaking huge.
I used to run past that about once or twice a week when I lived there, and I know exactly where that is on 17 Mile, and that's I never saw the sea like that.
Yeah.
Not in 2 years I was there.
Well,
Not once.
yeah, this is a thing that just doesn't happen, but it happened. Super high tides, really big waves. You guys may have seen some pictures of idiots by the shore running from big sleeper waves and stuff. But yeah, it's been a fun week here in California.
Darwin people.
So I have an update on the otter. So Otter 841 and her pup are doing just fine. Pup is getting bigger, as you can see in this picture. It's starting to be almost otter-sized, and she doesn't seem to be doing her crazy stuff. They're literally saying in some of the articles that maybe she just went prego crazy and started, and that's
known
what
to
caused her
happen
to
in a
start
lot of mammal species. Yeah.
just randomly
yeah.
chewing on people's surfboards and stuff. I have to say that she was more interesting when she was crazy. Now she's just sort of
rage is real.
a typical otter. I liked her when she was like this huge "don't tread on me" rebel. That was fun. Oh well, I still like
to
otter.
surf
Maybe
in my
next year.
water.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Take a bite out of your board.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So we have a space photo of the week, which I think is pretty cool. So this is another one from the James Webb Telescope, and it actually shows the rings around Uranus or Uranus, however you prefer it, and a bunch of the moons, 14 of them all in one shot.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
That's
You
pretty
really
sweet.
see how healed over Uranus is. Uranus is healed over 98 degrees off it, oblique to the orbital plane. You know that its rotational plane is leaned over 98 degrees. That's why it looks like a target. There's no
Yeah.
none of the other ring planets look like targets. They all look like Saturn looks like a man with ears. If you look through a small telescope, but no planet looks like that because no other planet is that leaned over. Is that their axis of rotation is so far declined away from the plane of revolution around the sun that we see the rings full on instead of edge on like we see with Saturn and Neptune.
And that's 98 degrees since discovery, right?
No, it's
Or-
always been healed. Yeah, it's always been healed over 98 degrees. It's always
It always has.
it's always
Yeah.
been
Didn't know
healed
that.
over like that. Yeah, I mean,
It's like a pizza cut.
yeah, billions of years ago.
I thought it's been shifting.
Whenever collision thing happened that caused it to get kicked over like that, which is probably what that was. Also,
Yeah.
I think Saturn's the one that's slowly turning. I think.
Well,
Well,
they all the
they all
planets
are-
kind of wobble.
they all have wobble and precession and all
Triple
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
At the axis, but the one that's dramatically healed over is Uranus.
Yeah. Don't just start randomly typing in things about rings in Uranus and looking for pictures.
I don't plan on it as long
Go
as
ahead and
those.
Google that.
Google responsibly,
I was
everybody.
looking up Saturn, but I
Okay.
not Uranus. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Go home,
Saturn
Uranus,
is
drunk.
Saturn's a really great thing to look at through just like an amateur telescope.
Absolutely.
It's real eye candy because you can see a surprisingly large amount of detail from even a meager telescope.
Even I've got a little 6-inch celestron reflector that you can see the bands in Jupiter.
Yep.
You can see the red spot in Jupiter,
Mhm.
and you can I fantasize that I can see a little bit of banding, possibly on Saturn.
It's kind of fuzzy and orange.
It's hard. Yeah, it's kind of orange.
But the rings are the great
The
thing.
rings are amazing.
And if you could make out the Cassini division, you're doing fine. You know, that's.
I was going to say I could see the B, C, and E
Yep.
divisions.
Yep.
So, yeah. I'm good.
And to mention that those bright blue spots, those are its moons.
Yeah. No, this is a fine piece of equipment. It sure cost us a lot of money, but the damn thing actually works, which is pretty cool.
I think it's already paid for itself, and it's going to continue paying for it.
Absolutely. I'm with functional. Absolutely.
There's so few things that I can say that a government agency wisely invests money in, and James
that's a home
Webb
run. That's a home run.
Just
amazing.
Well,
you know what the opposite of the James Webb telescope is? So the thing about the James Webb is it...
You and RWA?
No. The thing about the James Webb is it's designed to view infrared stuff. Now, a lot of things sort of that aren't super hot radiate in the infrared. So you can find out its chemical composition with the James Webb. You can also see things that have been ridiculously redshifted they're very, very, very far away, hence very old. But there are other things that happen in the world or in the universe that are much more energetic. And for that, you need a completely different instrument. May I introduce to you the NASA JAXA XRISM mission. And it is an X-ray telescope that is in orbit. And what you use that for is things like looking at supernova remnants and neutron stars and areas near black holes, things that are actually spitting out X-rays. Now, this is kind of a cool instrument because what this thing actually does is it has a detector in a big tank of liquid helium, and when an energetic photon of the X-ray variety hits this thing, it causes a tiny amount of heat to be generated. This thing's very close to absolute zero. And that tiny little bit of heat, and the detector picking something up, it's able to determine the energy of that photon, therefore its wavelength in X-rays. And they're able to do things like Webb does in terms of infrared spectroscopy, but it actually uses X-ray calorimeter spectroscopy to determine the composition of things in very energetic environments. So you want to look at
calorimeter means heat measurement, right?
Yeah. And it's that heat measurement that gives it the basically the wavelength. This is a super cool piece of equipment and equally amazing to me. It doesn't give you the photogenic stuff, but if you want to learn about like what happens after a supernova, this is the tool.
Nice.
Composition of things that we can look at, yeah.
What's one of those X-rays telescopes going to set me back?
I don't know. I didn't check out the budget on this thing, but Sorry, go ahead.
And then China tried to launch a satellite into space, and 2 of the tanks came down and nearly killed people.
You mean this? The next thing on our schedule? Chinese rocket booster falls from space, crashes near house. Yeah.
And these were tanks that still had fuel in them. Because they came down and exploded because I saw the video of it.
Once the rockets go up, who cares where they come down?
That's not my department, says Brown. Everybody take a drink.
Well, a long time ago, China tried doing a little space thing, and they had a big space oopsie where instead of just dropping a tank near somebody's house, they kind of wiped out a small town.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
I watched the video because it was people recorded it from the people in China before China removed it off their social media, and it came close. It destroyed a bunch of fields and
tore
stuff.
that whole area where the apartment buildings were torn up. I mean, there was a big fire. That was wrecked.
Well, when this happened, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just because I was expecting watching it falling to Earth. I was like, oh, it's empty. It's going to be fine. And then it lands and goes, whoosh, and I'm like, that's not good.
Well, okay. So when this happened in the past, I didn't know a lot about the event, but I ended up running into a guy who worked for Loral Space and Range Systems. And my first question to him is, how is it that China's able to purchase your services full stop? It didn't make any sense to me that China was able to pay an American aerospace contractor to do anything involving rocketry. But they did, because it was his job to basically go there and be near the launch site to basically show that, here, we're showing you that this rocket's totally not going to blow up. Here, we sent one of our top guys to stand near it when it takes off.
Boy.
And it's totally not going to blow up and kill everybody.
Not gonna blow up and kill everybody. Not
Yeah, that's a fun job. You should be
to answer-
compensated for that.
To answer your question, Skep, the development of it cost about 18 billion yen, which roughly translates to about 160 million, which was about half US, half Japanese contribution. And the launch itself was about another 90 million.
Which means someone pocketed a lot of money.
No.
That's my stance. I'm sorry, China's.
No,
No,
he's
I'm
talking about the X-ray
the
observatory.
previous-
He's talking about
I'm
the
talking about
X-ray
China. I always thought we were
No,
still
no,
on
no,
China.
no.
No.
Yeah.
He switched
That's
back
actually
on.
not bad. That's actually not bad a cost.
Again, I think another wise investment for something that, wow, we're going to be getting a lot of use out of, and coming together with another nation like that is a good sign for global stability.
Yeah, I think America and Korea have something in the pipes right now, but I can't remember what it was.
I think it's communication satellites.
I think so. Because let's face facts. Who do you want working on communication satellites? The country that Samsung came from. That's my stance.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. And then there's
adds a little bit of spice.
yeah. And then there's
Don't forget the Germans.
I think we're also helping Vietnam get more of its foot in the door of space program. I think it's right now in the very early planning stages, though. But we're also trying to get those three countries to talk to each other.
So I wonder if
Without
there's
cussing each other
a
out.
Vietnamese restaurant somewhere in the Western world that has a slogan sort of like, we put the nom in Vietnam.
I'm sure.
You mean the nom?
Yeah, nom.
The nom
Nom, nom, nom.
in Vietnam.
I clearly need more sleep.
If it doesn't, it's a
thought that was
missed
funny.
opportunity.
So I'm not going to get Sora in trouble, but I know how much you like talking about sort of first people sort of stuff carefully, but these aren't your first people. These are our first people. Navajo Nation president objects to NASA sending cremated human remains to the moon.
It ain't your moon, bitch.
No, it's our moon.
Yeah, you
all
don't
ours.
say,
Basically,
mother
yeah.
effer.
Did you put a flag on it? I
Yeah.
don't
No.
think so.
What is their objection?
It says
What is
here
the objection?
It's a sacred site.
the moon has long been revered by many Native American tribes. So when Navajo Nation president Don't Care recently discovered that NASA is planning to
That's
launch a
not how it
rocket
works, buddy.
headed to the moon in early January with cremated human remains to be placed there, he sent a letter to NASA. It was a strongly worded letter, I'm
Oh,
sure,
boy.
and the U.S. Department of Transportation asking to delay the launch. It is crucial to emphasize that the moon holds a sacred position in many indigenous cultures, including ours. So I can either have either listen to Chief running bullshit here, or we can have Gene Roddenberry's ashes go to the moon. Remember we talked about this, that some people were going to get their ashes on the moon.
Yeah.
Why not
Yeah,
Gene
Gene's one
Roddenberry's
of them.
ashes on the moon?
Yeah.
It's one of them.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but no, you do not get to claim the freaking moon.
Not to mention the fact that if we're actually going to go off of did you say it was German or American that's going up?
Which one?
That's going to the moon. Who's the?
There's so many people going to the moon, I've lost track. Mexico's going to the moon.
Well, okay. So if we're going to go for the Germanic/European bloodline, technically they hold the moon in high esteem too, because they literally had gods who were representations of the moon.
Yeah.
Everybody
I mean,
holds
every
the moon in
culture,
high esteem.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the moon is held in high esteem by everybody. Navajos, I'm going to be a jackass. You're a dying people. You
No
hit two-
calling dibs.
Yeah, it's like you don't have any say in this, baby. Stop it. I respect what you. Was it Navajos were the wind talkers during?
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
the now. It was
I
Navajo
respect what your ancestors did during the world wars. Absolutely. Pull the pole out of your booty hole and get over it.
I don't think this guy speaks for most people. I
No,
think this is just he's looking for Gibbs
Attention.
or something.
Let me,
Oh, yeah.
let me tell you, the guys on the resis down here, the Navajos down here, they don't give a shit what this guy says. They don't listen to him.
Yeah.
They don't care anything about that. They want to make sure the check from the guy, from the reservation, from the BIA guy is in.
Yeah.
That's all they care about.
Well, I have NASA's response.
Yay!
And,
Yes.
And
Was it snarky?
I'm not actually sure what it says because I wanted to read it when you did. NASA responds to Navajo Nation's request to delay private mission placing human remains on the moon. With these new opportunities and new ways of doing business, we recognize that some non-NASA commercial payloads can be a cause of concern to some communities.
That is the most toothless statement I have ever
Well, I mean, I'm
read.
sure. I think that's a quote from it, not the full statement. So
Might?
Well, that is a quote from it, yeah. Yeah. He filed a
Might,
formal
maybe
objection. Yeah. He's asked NASA to delay the mission until the Navajo Nation's objections are addressed. No!
No.
It is crucial
Fuck
to
that guy.
emphasize that the moon holds a sacred position in many indigenous cultures, including ours, asshole.
Yeah.
Buckwheat
Yeah,
wrote
like-
in a letter dated December 21st, the act of depositing human remains in some other material as discards in any other location on the moon is tantamount to desecration of this sacred space of ours.
Well, NASA's
And then
saying
the-
it's not our job to approve commercial missions, which
Yeah,
is
but we don't
exactly
have
the
any
right thing to say.
It's
Yeah.
like, do you want to have a problem with it? Go talk to the commercial people, not us.
Yeah.
We can't do
The
anything.
commercial people are going to
Yeah.
tell you, they have money, they want to go to space.
We go
Yep.
space. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get enough money to prevent this, okay? To buy up all our capacity to go to space, and you can have your way. Then you
Ooh,
can
there we go.
take-
The regulatory process that approves space missions does not consider compliance with the tenets of any religion the process of for obvious reasons. No individual religion can or should dictate whether a space mission should be approved. I
Yeah.
believe that's
Well, that's a little more straightforward.
So get
well,
banned.
that came from the co-founder of the Celeste.
good on you.
Celestis. No one and no religion owns the moon, and we're of the beliefs the world's a multitude of religions considered it's quite likely that no missions would ever be approved. Not wrong. Simply, we do not and never have let religious beliefs dictate humanity's space efforts. There is not and should not be a religious test. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very polite way of saying get fucked.
Yeah. And stay in your lane.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I have tons of respect for many Native Americans. They were especially the ones in North America, they were a lot of ass kickers. There's a reason why it took a lot more effort to sort of have Europeans move into North America than South America. In South America, they blew through the natives there like a gentle breeze. It was just like they really did bad things quickly to those people down there. The people who were here in North America, they were tough. they were
the
badass,
Comanche?
a lot of them.
The Comanche, the
were-
Mohawk.
Well, the Comanche were absolutely the most. They and one group of Apache were the absolute most ruthless, and they hated each other.
Yeah.
My God, the stories that people around here tell of the fights between them that were just last century. This is when about the time my grandparents were growing up, and my great grandparents actually were growing up, and they were killing each other out on the prairie then, and in Kansas and Oklahoma and North Texas.
Well,
Even
yeah.
then,
Well, I mean, that was a kind of what the entire French Indian War was kind of about, this weird, like, down the line, what Indians sided with what side.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, the Indians
Shit.
were all over the place. The Indians
Oh,
were
yeah.
basically mercenary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But
And then they
respect,
were
but not this
surprised when
time.
they
Yeah.
were shocked when everybody turned on them.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, honestly, you guys are better than this. Trying to claim the moon is a big ask, and you can just
Yeah.
shut up and stop it.
Fuck off.
Go
There's
do
cultures
something
that are
awesome
older than
and stop
you.
doing this. Seriously.
Just stop this.
There-
Yes.
The moon is you don't get to own space.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, calm down, boys.
So, speaking
Guy
of
wants to show how important he is.
speaking of the planes and the skies and stuff, these eclipse-themed places will experience totality in April 8th, 2024. That
I've never
line
heard the
going
line of
through
totality.
Texas looks awfully
I
inviting,
know.
doesn't it, Skep?
Yep. That's uh, that's going to be right where I am. And,
It literally threads the needle for me in functional and just ignores both of us.
Yeah, but I believe this
it's
passes
going
over.
right over.
This is
Oh, it's going
basically
right over
right
me?
over Skep's house. If not, you
It's
could
not.
drive to it in
not
in
going.
half an
Yeah.
hour.
No, I will. I'll set up,
It's not going over for me. It's missing me by a mile.
make a shadow projector, and
Yeah.
we'll have a very nice projection of the eclipse on the sidewalk. We
Well,
do that every time.
Well, you might want to invest in
looking
the little
forward
Mylar glasses things and stuff, and because I think you're going to have some good fun with this. I mean, normally I don't get all that excited about things being in front of other things in space, but
I'll
I think
actually
this is
put
going
the
to be a
sun
lot of fun for
filter-
you.
I'll put my sun filter in my telescope actually.
Yeah.
And I just like to look at the Bailey beads. You know what Bailey beads are?
No,
Bailey beads are
not by that name at
bright-
least.
Are the bright little pockets of light in a totality. In the moment of totality, you see these beads around the side, and they have to do with little irregularities in the moon, and variations in brightness. And those the astronomer who noticed those and named them was a guy named Bailey.
Those
So
are the
anyway,
sun aliens.
Bailey
You're not gonna fool me.
Sun aliens, yes.
Those are the sun aliens. All right, are we done with space? Yes. Hey, Functional, how you doing, man?
I'm all right.
I always like to go to you for entertainment stuff. You're very far from your
boy.
microphone.
Oh boy.
Although I'm not sure this even qualifies as entertainment. Now,
Just try not to cough in the mic.
new CBS late night show After Midnight hosted by Taylor Tomlinson to premiere January 16th. So this is the replacement for that idiot
She's
Corden.
so cute. I love
Yeah.
her.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was actually thinking a few months ago about complaining about Taylor Tomlinson. Her head's too big, and
She looks like
I
Elaine.
don't. Her comedy just does not work for me. Are you saying that you like her comedy?
Yes.
God.
It's very relatable.
Uh,
I like her a lot.
well, maybe I'm looking at the wrong stuff. I have like a little sample. I have a sample.
I missed her. She was here on tour, and I wasn't able to go. I was very upset. I really wanted to actually see her live.
Okay.
I mean, also, comedy's not going to hit for everybody. It's okay for it not to hit, Harry.
I know. Well, okay. So here's like a sample, just to give you an idea of where I'm coming from here.
I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it on stage, and then I needed new material, and I was like, fire sale, everything goes. No, truthfully, I was surprised that I felt so bad about it, because I think I'm pretty open-minded, and I don't think anybody should feel bad if they get diagnosed with a mental illness, because
Okay. Oh no! How brave! Another comedian talking about their their mental illness. Okay, because it's like, how long have comedians been talking about seeing their therapist and stuff? Like forever. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm being a cynical asshole. That's just the best I can do.
it's just
I was
information
telling
about
my
you
analyst.
that helps you know how to take better care of yourself. Being
Okay.
bipolar, there's nothing wrong with it. Being bipolar is like not knowing how to swim. It might be embarrassing to tell people, and it might be hard to take you certain places. But they have arm floaties. And if you just take your arm floaties, you can go wherever the hell you want. And
Okay.
I know some of you are like, but Taylor, what if people judge me for taking arm floaties? Well, those people don't care if you live or die. So maybe who cares? Maybe fuck those people.
When does she do the funny part?
Well, it feels a lot like clapter to me, which is
Yeah,
just
it's
sort
all
of
clapter right
sort of
there.
the thing. Now, when I was going to put together a thing on her, I was originally going to say she's not funny, and then I watched more of her stuff and said, okay, she's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I could sort of
someone
see the
actually
humor.
said in chat said that she makes fun of the size of her head.
Yeah, well, it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what a comedian's supposed to do.
And I
Yeah,
kinda like
self-deprecation
the
is actually
message of
good
this
for a
joke.
comedian. Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't find it funny, but I like the message of just like, yeah, fuck people.
Here's what I notice about her is she has comic timing.
Yeah.
She does know how to. She has the right comic phrasing. She knows how to deliver her lines. She know those little asides she was doing. Those were perfect.
Yeah.
And in the service of an actual joke, I think she could be funny. She seems to have some natural talent at it, and kind of a funny manner. And the huge head is a big that's a big seller with me. I
Mhm.
like funny looking comedians.
Yeah.
I don't want a comedian that looks like Rob Lowe. I want a comedian that looks like Bozo the Clown, and she's that. So, she could be funny if she started to do jokes, but she's doing this moralizing crap about, how you could be better than people who put you down. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Whoa. Time out. She did not do that. She literally just said these people don't care whether you live or die, so who cares what they think? That's literally all she said.
Yeah.
There was no.
Moralizing, it's not funny. There's nothing funny.
That wasn't the part that was meant to be funny.
But
I
I
thought
think,
I thought you said she was a comedian.
Well, that's why I said it sounded like
Skep, I
more
think you're-
clapter than humor.
Yeah, this is clapter.
I think to your point, Skep, the
It is one
technical
sample.
things that you laid out will translate very well for a position like a late night show host kind of comedy. No, I freaking hate that kind of stuff. The only one I've ever liked has been Craig Ferguson because he broke the mold as far as
He's so talented.
Well, she's taking over
yeah.
she's taking over his old spot because that's what James Corden used to
Corden
be.
took over
Yeah.
for him. Yeah.
She might be better than Corden because Corden was
Shit,
just
anybody's better than
Yeah.
Corden.
Corden was
God,
not
what a-
gonna be,
but I
what a
think
hack.
her again, just on a technical aspect, whether or not you like the comedy or not, I lean in the not, but I don't.
Yeah.
This is the first I've ever even heard of her. But I think you have the right technical call-outs in that is something that will translate well to that sort of pre-written kind of show.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. with you.
she'll probably fit well into the position.
Well, it's like
I
she-
think those shows as a whole are kind of dying when
Yeah.
you have things like social
One
media.
one of those things about those shows is that they bring out the strengths in your personality, and they also bring out the weaknesses in your personality. And that's one of the strengths of Johnny Carson was just how likable he is, and the people who have had longevity, they have that long term likability that Jay Leno kind of he wears well.
Conan
just
O'Brien has likability too, and but there's not a lot of them anymore that have likability because some of them are just smarmy.
I'm
Like
looking at
the,
it.
the Jimmies. The Jimmies are just smarmy.
I'm looking at the
Yeah.
chat. Skep is not a Matt Rife fan. Confirmed. Yeah, I don't see Skep enjoying Matt Rife at all.
Yeah, but
probably
it's
a fair statement.
it's one of those things. She's going to be better than James Corden most likely. She's going to be better than Lily Singh, who tried to be.
Oh
funny.
God.
They
Okay.
failed
Yeah,
miserably.
well, like I said, I was going to unload on her, and then I
The bar's
decided
on the
she's
ground,
funny.
folks.
I decided she's actually sort of funny. Remember, I told you about the board of. We tried to. My friend and I tried to figure out who was the actor or actress that was like right at the borderline between good and not good. And we decided it was
Yeah.
Bobby Phillips
That makes sense,
from
yeah.
Great Things Like Chameleon. I think Taylor Tomlinson is that for comedians. I think
That's
she's
fair.
right on that line between being funny and not funny.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
that works for a late night talk show though.
Yeah.
that could work. So it's one of those things where it's like I wish her all the best. She's better than James Corden.
And she's better than Samantha Bee.
Yeah, God, that woman.
Tiny
Jesus.
bars, tiny levels of goodness.
Yeah.
You're saying she's better than. She's actually a lot better than.
If you want to make me happy, give Kristen Schaal the job. Then I'll actually take the time to watch.
Well, I think part of the reason why they gave Tomlinson this job most likely is because she was cheap.
Yep.
And that late night, because that was the thing Craig always used to make jokes about, which it was truth-filling jokes, which was how low their budget was. So it might be better if they're going for the cheaper one.
And Nikki Glazer will just get canceled before the show's on the air for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Don't be
Oh, yeah.
surprised if you see a late night show from the Daily Wire. I would be surprised if they're not working on one.
Oh, I would be amazed if they weren't either. Yeah, but
You know who they'll have host it.
I'm
no idea.
afraid.
Dark horse right here. It'll be Brett Cooper.
And possibly, since she's getting married, she may not. So, but well, cause now I'm not gonna start my spiel about the Daily Wire. Never mind.
I'm gonna pivot to something because somebody sent me a link. Give me a second here. I wasn't planning on doing this as part of the show.
Oh, Hate Camel says, "Give me Maria Bamford or Kathleen Madigan." I think Kathleen Madigan would have done really good.
Oh, Kathleen Madigan would do. She'd be fantastic.
She'd eat those people alive.
Think about the problem with Maria Bamford is when I big complaint with a lot of female comedians. Okay, this is just I don't know why this is. This is just something I've observed. they recycle a lot of material. They find something that works and they just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you'll come back like 10 years later and Jackie Keeshan is still talking about, pioneer prostitutes in the Dork Forest and Civil War reenactors. I love that joke. I loved it the first time I heard it. Not really all that keen on hearing it 10 years later.
Agreed.
That's the thing. And I've noticed that Maria Bamford kind of doesn't have a lot of breadth in her material.
That's fair.
I like Maria Bamford. She's really funny, but she doesn't really seem to like go out and work at clubs and develop new stuff every 6 months.
Yeah.
But
They find their niche and they're sticking it.
yeah, let me see. Where did I see this thing? So, yeah, somebody sent me a link to a Rick Beto thing where he's actually looking. So this is me looking at a guy looking at an interview. Okay, so we're getting a little meta here.
Layers.
I've done a lot of interviews on my channel, and I'll read the comments, and people say, Rick, you're great at interviews, things like that.
Rick is great at interviews.
He is.
And I
It's a
think,
great
well,
channel.
I watched this one particular interview, which I think is the perfect interview of a musician. And that's
I am
kind
gonna
of
put this
what
in
I
the chat.
based my interviews on, although I do a much longer form. This particular interview was Dick Cavett interviewing Oscar Peterson, the great jazz pianist, in 1979. I'm going to explain to you why I think this is a great interview. I'm not going to play the whole interview.
Nor are we going to play the whole interview.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Dick Cavett will come for it.
Because the drummer is playing,
He's
the
just
bass player is
comping
playing.
chords.
So this way you go.
Yeah.
Woo! Great feel.
The thing about Dick Cavett is he was a great
So the right hand
interviewer.
is really the instrument,
Oh, yeah.
and the
Yes,
left hand
exactly.
is putting the rhythm
One of the
section out of work.
That's right.
Yep.
So right there, Dick Cavett says something profound. He says the right hand
Yeah.
is doing all the work because it's soloing.
Yeah, when has anybody ever said that James Corden said something profound?
Yeah.
Never.
Well, I mean,
Or
there's
Seth
the
Meyers or Jimmy Fallon. None of those people have ever said anything profound. I've heard
Nope.
Ferguson say things that were profound before.
Oh yeah, no. There's clips of his interview with Cillian Murphy, who's notorious as being a hard person to interview, and him and Cillian Murphy are just sitting there talking because he was back on his show, and he basically was, and they were talking about Peaky Blinders, and he described what Peaky Blinders was, and you see Cillian Murphy light up because he described it in a very short way. I think he said it was like Kurosawa mixed with something else. I have to find the clip again. And Cillian Murphy, you could see him light up, and he goes, "Exactly, you're right." I'm not doing an Irish accent.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's like that's it's the reason why Graham Norton has very specific political leanings. But Graham Norton's good about that too. It's
Yeah,
really
Graham
hard to
Norton's
be
a great
good
interviewer.
It's because Graham Norton knows when to shut up and let other people talk.
He
Yes,
knows how to
does.
bring
It's
people
very-
in and let them kind of do their thing.
Yeah.
He's not so ego driven that he has to
Be the center of attention.
be the center of attention. I like this. Okay, I really like this thing. First of all, I like Rick Beto's stuff, and I enjoy a lot of the old interviews from Dick Cavett, hence the logo I use. And I think Dick Cavett was a great interviewer, but obviously to each his own. But
Well, it's one of those things. Like the best interviewers are the ones who know when to like sit back and let the person not dig their own grave, not like that, but to sit back and let them do their own thing, and it's a hard skill to learn.
well, I hope
anything.
Taylor does a good job. I honestly don't want her to fail. But
Yeah.
I don't
wanted
know.
Gordon
Like
to fail.
Functional said, I think this as a format its time may have already passed. We'll see.
Yeah. It may turn into a podcast.
I mean, the timing of it being a late night show is kind of something that's somewhat being retooled and repurposed, because you have like shows similar, not the same, in like your Tim Pools, your Joe Rogans, where they do get big names and they can talk about them, but it's less of a night show feel. It's more of a morning day show kind of feel. If
Yeah.
that's if you guys
Yeah,
follow me on that.
I get what you're saying. It's like it's not quite like a daytime talk show. It's like a mixture of a daytime talk show and a radio show.
Yeah, and obviously someone like Pool's more political. Joe Rogan,
like
he's
Mike
potpourri. He's
Douglas.
got everybody. He's got scientists to actors to
Yeah.
whoever. And I think that given the political climate, having that format translate into an internet show might be a little harder. because you know, people seem to be very like, you wouldn't get big name, a lot of Hollywood types on and mainstream musicians on like a Daily Wire show, because they'd be like, oh no, they're conservative, like, you know. So it'd be hard, but I hope somebody could do it, because it's kind of fun to see how especially again, somebody like Cavett or Ferguson were really good at was opening people up who are generally a little weird.
Yeah.
You know, really big musicians, really big actors. They're a little weird. They're hard nuts to crack, and you have to pretty much, with all these bright lights and knowing that millions of people are watching, you have to be able to just sit there and be a person to somebody, and have them reciprocate and open up. And you know, I've never been a big star chaser kind of person. It's like, yeah, whatever. I enjoy your work. Other than that, I don't really care. But again, people like Cavett, Leno, Ferguson, they open the people up, and you're like, you know what? This person might actually be, you know, like a cool, genuine person. Like the Cillian Murphy interview, you can see, you know, Ferguson's trying to get the read on him, and then he pulls him out. It's just boom, he's out, and they're just two guys having a chat. Yeah, it's amazing what some people have that talent to do. It'd be really nice if we could get someone to get that.
Which, side note, Craig Ferguson does have a podcast where he talks to a bunch of different people. It's only on iHeartRadio, but it's actually really entertaining because he talked to a mortician. But like, nice. So if you want the feel of the Craig Ferguson show, go there.
Because he loved doing it. He just couldn't deal with the corporate.
Well, they broke his contract.
Yeah, they broke his contract. He couldn't deal with the. Well, there was a lot of shit going on in the last couple of years that he just could not stand. But he loved doing the job. He loved engaging with these people that, you know, anybody. He didn't. He openly said, like, it didn't matter if the person was like a first time, you know, or somebody like a Tom Cruise, you know, like a legend in the industry. He just loved talking to people and getting people to talk to him. So I'm really glad that it's hard to get to see them more up to date. I get a few clips here and there from YouTube and whatnot, but yeah, he's one of the greats.
So since we have both of our ladies present, I was wondering if you could help me understand why this is supposed to be a good movie. Okay. Are you familiar with an upcoming movie called Maybe I Do?
No.
Well, sorry.
There we go. Well, you could suffer with me. I already hate this.
They're really doing this? She's throwing it to Michelle.
Oh,
Michelle
God.
catches
Emma
the
Roberts.
flowers. You get married next. Your
that's probably the reason why I didn't know anything about it.
I grew up wondering if
I hate everything about this. I just want these people to go away.
It was a reflex action.
It was the most awful moment in the whole history of women being stuck with you idiots.
Ooh, burn.
Well, apparently it's based on a play.
I don't care.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that it's based on a play written by a guy.
Okay.
By a guy named Michael Jacobs. And it was based on a play called Cheaters.
Okay, so
it has Diane Keaton and Richard Gere.
Here's the thing, and Susan Sarandon, and let's see,
she's still alive.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
So basically, both of the parents of the guy and Emma Roberts are each separately having affairs with the other one, and nobody knows, and they all decide to go to dinner at like one of the houses, and it's like, you know, here's everybody and their mistresses, and it's just like a big frothy mass of terribleness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
this is one of those movies that you either watch on a plane because there's nothing else, or if it's on Netflix, sure, you'll put it on, so you're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, William H. Macy. He's actually a good actor. I like him. Well, I mean, I love Diane Keaton too, but I just don't want to see this.
I'm not going to see it in theaters, but I'll watch it when it comes on streaming. It looks like a more Meet the Fockers, less your typical rom-com kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather stick red hot pokers in my eyes.
Secret, I do enjoy the occasional rom-com that there is actual craft behind it and not just stupid stupid,
Yeah.
like most Anne Hathaway movies.
I miss the '90s. Like like while
Yeah.
you were sleeping is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of like there needs to be a good, funny but not gross funny rom-com that comes back out. Like it's like can we not make it about cheating? Can we not make it about just kind of slight misunderstandings and just have it be a happy movie? That's the reason why we're going to tie this back to an old show. That's the reason why Hallmark movies do so well, because everyone's like, I just want an easy movie.
See, I have another stupid problem. Okay, my other problem is, and this is completely unfair. You can judge me for this, okay? Because I know
Okay.
I'm being stupid.
Okay.
Emma Roberts' father is it Eric Roberts? I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's
Yes.
the brother of Julia Roberts?
Yes.
But he in the 2000-ish pseudo reboot of Doctor Who that came on Fox in the US, he was the guy that played the villain. Terrible actor.
Yeah, that
And
was.
not only was he that, he was also the villain in the Dead or Alive movie thing based on the video game. My
Yeah.
God, he sucks
But
so
he's
badly.
perfect.
Every
No,
time
no,
I
he's
see him, I every time I see
just
her,
can't
I
act.
think of him, and it's like, ugh. It's like being reminded about how my family got food poisoning at Knott's Berry Farm. Every time I see a rhubarb, I think I can't go near it. I'm sorry. I know I'm being completely unreasonable.
I love Knott's Berry Farm. That's one of my favorite places from my youth.
Well, the thing is like everybody. Oh, good lord! This trailer came out a long fucking time ago. This movie's been in limbo. Harry, you may want to stop the video.
Peter
There you
Dinklage.
go. Well,
No, I did it on purpose. I was like, Anne Hathaway and Peter Dinklage. What the hell?
as she came to me, that sounds like a movie. Anyway.
Okay.
But it's one of those things. Like everybody has actors who they can't act. Like.
No, I'm
they
mad at her
vary.
because her father can't act.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
which is
that's
really
fair.
shallow.
You're allowed to think
Harry's
he's
just
not.
being-
I'm a terrible human being. I freely admit
We
it.
all are.
Hey, Harry.
Welcome to the party.
All right, shall we talk about not entertainment? This was just a little thing. Let's see. We can skip this because I don't care. Well, I mean, we can mention it. We don't really need to talk about it. Americans are fleeing Los Angeles more than anywhere else for the first time. Los Angeles is a shithole. I can understand it. Even being in California, I don't go to Los Angeles. That's like a whole different state, and a state
It
that
is.
even
It is.
if you're in Northern California, it's like no, you just don't.
It's like going to Cleveland. It's awful down there.
Or these are the assholes that take all of our water and then just wash their cars with nothing attached to the hose and just the water and fill their swimming pools. Anyway, not a big fan of LA, so screw that place.
That's fair.
So I don't
better
know
off
if how many of you folks are familiar with cruising culture, but this is a thing that used to just happen. People would get in their cars and they would drive up and down the street, and it wasn't just lowriders.
Yeah.
No, it was everybody in town.
Remember, like
that had a
American
car.
Graffiti, Skep, that movie?
Yes, I did this.
Yeah, you would
I
get in
did
your
this.
car and you would just drive around and you'd hoop and holler and shout at girls, and girls would shout at boys, and it was just a social thing people did. They'd jam up whatever the main street was in the town and drive around in their cars.
Yeah, we have that here.
I had
too.
a convertible. I had a convertible in Northern Virginia. It was just a great time in the spring there.
Thing is, I like fun, and honestly, they had some state law that was keeping people from doing it because, of course, emission controls don't work when you're cruising like this. It's a pollution thing. It wastes a lot of gas, but I hate the fun police. Just leave people alone.
Yep. No cruising.
No
Well, I
cruising.
think they may be hoping that the cruising will stop the street racing.
Well, you can't have a sideshow or a street race go on if the street's all jammed up with lowriders.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If someone's playing 4D chess, like that's actually kind of smart because if people go back to cruising, with those gigantic like all steel body freaking cars, like those little tiny Honda Civics, if they try to do anything, just go slam into it and crumple.
Well, my main thing is more freedom is good.
Freedom.
Okay, freedom is
baby.
good.
I like freedom.
But okay, Skep, you are gonna love this next story so much because I know I do. I'm so happy about this. Berkeley's People's Park is already almost unrecognizable. Now, let me tell you a story. During the 60s and the 70s, during the riots and the protests in Berkeley, there was this one patch of land that essentially the hippies kind of claimed it for themselves, and they renamed it People's Park. Now, this land belongs to the University of California at Berkeley. And they have wanted to use this land for decades to put in new student housing. And now, because I remember actually walking past this thing and watching all the nasty ass hippies hanging out doing their little playing hacky sack and doing drugs and all their other hippie bullshit back in the 80s. I think it was in 85 or 84 or 83, something like that. But I remember thinking, what an annoying piece of land this is. So they've tried to do stuff with it. They put up a cyclone fence around it. And of course, the hippies and the agitators just tore it down recently. So they finally got the brilliant idea. Why don't we just take a whole bunch of shipping containers and stack them too high all the way around the perimeter of this thing and just start going to town on this park?
They're getting ready for Z-Day.
They're getting ready for Z-Day, and they're going to just build a bunch of student housing, and there's nothing the hippies can do about it. I'm so happy.
Damn right.
It's actually a swath of the city of Berkeley. It's in town.
Yeah.
It's actually in a mixed use residential and shopping neighborhood.
It's relatively close
see a
to
lot of
Telegraph
tech
and
housing.
Sproul Plaza and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's easy walking
up-
distance.
It's halfway up the hill. Yeah.
That sounds like a good place for college kids to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think the university finally growing enough balls to do something about it, like 50 years later than they should have. It's like, well,
Berkeley. So think of the
That's
red
been
tape
there
and bureaucracy.
forever here.
they're going to be cleaning needles out of there for a long time.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Needles, used things that weren't needles.
If a
but were
park
other
could get
things.
herpes, this would be the one.
Herpes Park.
Yeah.
Panic and Herpes Park.
Yeah.
Remember the
Scabies.
Panic and Needle Park?
Scabies. Scabies Park. Anyway, I thought you'd like that. So, Sora.
Uh-oh.
Sora here?
Sora.
Doggos.
She
Doggos.
had to go deal with doggos.
Okay. Well, she'll be back in a little bit. Homeless people in Vancouver were given $5,500 cash, no strings attached. They use it to secure housing and even start saving.
I call bullshit.
Now, okay, so 50 homeless people in Vancouver were given this one-time
that's
cash
it?
payment. Now, here's the thing. If you give this money to the right 50 people, this
Yeah.
will be the outcome.
Yeah.
You know, if you give this money to the 50 wrong people, this will not be the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was this?
Give me $5,000 worth of 8-balls.
Who was this by? Was it by the BC government or local or federal
Let's
or
see.
private?
It was a bunch of researchers who did this, but they used taxpayer money.
Okay.
Oh, lovely.
Well, no, I mean, I've heard arguments on both sides of the argument here, and they both make a lot of good points, and I'm exactly of the same mind. If you give it to the right people, and I'm wondering if these researchers did a somewhat of a screening process, which chances are they did,
Yeah.
to
Mitigate failures.
yes, to sort of inflate to say okay, well, hey, look, now it can work on a great on a larger scale because they're activists more than they are researchers. But giving the benefit of the doubt, if it was kind of to do a unbiased, hey, let's see what would happen if we took 50 people at random and see what happens. That's the kind of research I want to know, because then we could have definitive answers one way or the other, and they could also use that, again, if it's as unbiased as possible, use that for further initiatives to lessen the homeless population across the Western sphere, to see, hey, yes, if we can say, hey, 25% of the people who are out on the streets, if we did do a jumpstart program to get them off the streets, then I'm there with you. I want to see these people. I've, at one point in my life, been homeless and had, luckily, a crash cart that got me back out onto my feet. So, for some people it can, and I want to be able to more readily available identify who and what types of people, the things that they say, like you would have in these pre-screening interviews, would benefit from these programs, so that if we can come to some sort of middle ground with both sides and say, okay, we're not going to do blanket handouts, because that would just be lighting money on fire and just buy, and saying, no, we're going to get it to the air quotes right people, and hopefully we can get a higher rate of return to get these people back into the workforce, back into homes, and being a productive member of society, because the epidemic that is homelessness in the Western Hemisphere is truly tragic.
Well, we need to do a bunch of things. I mean, first of all, able-bodied people need to work. Full stop. That's still my position. I'm not a big fan of just giving people money who don't need it. So the deserving poor, we choose to take care of those people for humanitarian reasons. No problem with that either. I can tell you from personal experience, about 20-something years ago, I'm not going to say who, I ended up trying to help somebody who was in a situation like this, homeless. And I said, well, what's it going to take to get you back on your feet? And we talked for a good 2 weeks, about like, well, what do you need to, get a job? What do you need for housing? How much is a deposit and all this stuff? And I wrote a check. It was for about $5,000. And that person, even signed a note and a contract, saying this is the plan and stuff. And that person just went off and spent all of that money in a weekend on literally just on the stuff you imagine they did. There's no point in giving money to people who are just lost. Until somebody's hit rock bottom and they're ready to make the change, then I'm not giving them a damn thing.
Very wise, Harry.
Well, it's also one of those things that, like, as we've so the open drug policy in Portugal, I'm tying back to this, to stay with me.
Sure.
When it first started, it was done by a different group than who it was done now. And that initial group who did the open, kept checks on everything, did it very well. But then it got passed in the government to another group within the government to watch it, and now they're having problems with drugs again in Portugal. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen with if they turn this into a program, is that, yes, this initial group who care a lot, who want these people to get better and everything like that, and who aren't tied in bureaucratic knots, are making sure that it goes to the right people and make sure that they give these people the ability to do what they need to do. And it may work for a couple years, and then they go, well, we don't need you all anymore because we have to pay you too much money. So we're going to give this to a cheaper group who we can afford to give it to, and then the government's going to move it, and then it's just going to go to shit. That's my one worry with this, is that it's going to be this whole, the people who actually care, who need to make money in order to make sure that they continue to have the ability to care, because you need to make money somehow, is then going to get screwed over, and it's going to get turned into another terrible social worker system.
Why
where no one...
Sorry, go ahead.
Where it just screws over everybody.
Well, I always feel like after these these topics, we need a palate cleanser, right? So the Disney memes that people were doing, sort of the Pixar style AI, not politically correct posters.
Yes.
Somebody posted them IRL.
Oh, whoa.
That's pretty good. Oops. I kicked myself out of the stream. Okay, let's try this again.
He says something and then she just slaps him.
Are we still live?
Something like, is that you? Maybe.
I think it was that too, because it was the one thing that the video didn't subtitle.
Okay, are we still live?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes, we are.
I hit the wrong thing. And I got my typical SNL things here because this is what happens. All right, so let's see. What's on to the next thing? What?
Oh, no, I wanted to know what the guy said that warranted the slap. Like, what did he say to her?
I don't know, man.
Oh.
I can't Zapruder this thing right at the moment.
Okay.
Sorry. You want to talk about orcas? Yes, just say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Orcas are
No.
dicks. They are terrible. So here's some orcas hunting dolphins.
Oh, they've always done that.
Yeah. Look at them just bouncing the dolphin in the air.
I'm so sorry. It sucks. And I'm
It's like
sad.
poor
But
dolphins.
also at the same time.
Here, have a little nose boop.
Yeet. He's just playing with his
Maybe they're just
food.
playing.
Yeah, they're just playing. That's probably what it is. They're just playing. What about this? They went after fin whales last week. Here they are going after gray whales. They are like an apex predator. I don't know why it
Yeah.
surprises
Yeah.
me. They're just such dicks.
The only things that are bigger and faster and stronger than them are squids, but they don't go near the squids.
No.
They
that's
attack
Yeah.
whales that are bigger
not
than they
true.
are.
Drown them.
That's not true. The sperm whales eat the orcas for snacks.
Yeah.
Well, then where the hell are the sperm whales?
So orcas are continuing to cause trouble.
You need to get your boys under control.
The only question is, will the
Nobody
orcas
fucks
off the California coast start attacking boats like the ones in the Mediterranean have been doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be
sperm
fun.
whales are a fine source of whale oil, and they were hunted just about to extinction.
Because I think
Oh,
all
yeah.
these whale watching
the right
people
whale.
need to be put on notice. I think they need to stop being so comfortable.
Well, the thing is also, the thing that makes it sad is that it's not even a full-grown gray whale. That's a baby.
Yeah.
They're going after a baby. You wussies.
So Sora's back, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay, so near Vancouver, there's like this little piece that got mixed because of the way the border goes through. Isn't there some weird place that's hard to get to?
Yeah.
Isn't it
Isn't it
part
like
of?
an island?
It's part of Canada,
Point
isn't
Roberts.
it? Point Roberts is part of Canada, right?
No, it's yours.
It's part
Yeah,
of ours.
but you have to go through Canada to get
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
you have to go through.
another one of those
Uh-oh.
that's actually attached to Minnesota. It's called Northwest Angle.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess there's about 6 of these silly things where because they weren't very good at describing geography, and
It's just so funny because that border. So like once you cut, you're on the other side of Point Roberts. It goes like straight across Canada, perfect border, and then bam, like
Yeah.
like somebody, the map guy hiccuped,
Mhm.
and then did a right angle.
it's like no, you're
No,
not
he
Manitoba.
had-
You're part of Minnesota.
They actually had 2 different. I know the story of this. There was some mix up having to do with the instructions for how it was supposed to be surveyed, and one of the survey crews got lost at one point, and that's really where the thing went right off the rails. But that is actually the highest point in the highest latitude point in the lower 48 of the United States, right? Is
Yep.
that notch right there?
Well, there's almost nobody there. Okay, I mean, I was
there's
looking
like
at the
50 people in one little community just up at the top. Yeah, and you have to go to Canada. You have to, if you want to drive to where they live, you're in Canada. You have to go.
You have to
Canada.
either go across the ice when it's frozen, or you have to go through Canada. So, as of the
Right.
census of 2010, there were 119 people, 66 households, 37 families. It is 99.2% white. There's one Native American making up 0.8% of the population. Is this the whitest place on Earth? Because
Probably.
it's like
The
holy crap.
whitest place in America, probably.
99.2%, and then there's one guy shaking his fist at the moon. That's it.
Yeah.
Apologize.
A moon hater.
Stupid. That's my moon. All right. Let's see. What were we talking
My
about?
moon. Don't defile the moon.
Let's see.
One guy in India, when it was announced that Neil Armstrong had landed on the moon, died of a heart attack, and the what he said as he passed away was the moon is no longer a virgin,
Oh,
and then he died of a heart attack.
All right.
Yeah.
okay. Well,
I think
You
that
can-
God
you can
was
marry
punishing
a-
him. I think God was punishing him for coming up with a lame line like that.
Probably.
That's just my personal opinion.
Well, I've got some Ukraine stuff that can just wait until next week. I don't want to. Just not get.
That's
Okay.
fair.
It's about
Yeah,
it's
that's
about weapons technology, and it's kind of interesting, and I just don't care. Let's see. What about DEI? Do we care about that at all? Maybe a little bit.
really.
Yeah. I've had it with DEI.
Okay, we've had
Most
it.
people have too, apparently.
The head of Lululemon apparently doesn't like it, or the former head of Lululemon.
You mean this?
I don't know what.
Lululemon
Yeah.
founder
Wilson.
blasts company's
Yeah,
push
oh,
toward
okay.
diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was actually pretty funny. So the guy who founded Lululemon got basically pushed out in 2015 because he said some inappropriate things about larger women. And his basic
stand
premise
him.
was, well, we really shouldn't try to make clothes for everybody. We should try to make clothes sort of for our target audience. You don't really have a brand identity if you
So,
just do it for everybody.
Let me preface my dislike of this guy is not about his business practices.
Okay.
I dislike him because he donated money to our city so that they could buy these absolutely atrociously ugly statues that
Oh.
now that sit in downtown and are horrific and ugly and terrible because they're so fun. He liked them. So
You.
here you go. Now we're stuck with these. They're called the Laughing Men, and they're horrific. Let me find a picture.
Mm.
But go on, sorry, Harry. So
Was it-
nothing
it-
to do with him as his business stuff. It's
Were
all
the
to do with
statues
his
done by
how he
Klaus
grew up.
Oldenburg or some other asshat?
Oh God, they're hideous.
Oh, you found them? Okay,
Ick.
Well, give me the link
Uh,
and put it in the private chat for the show.
Saved by
copy
Lululemon donation.
link
Go fuck yourself.
address. Now go to
Oh,
the
those guys. I've seen those
video.
guys before, yeah.
Here we
Yeah.
go.
I don't like them.
I don't blame you. They're not
We don't really
Not
have
good.
great public art, but we have
No,
some
wait.
nice ones. This is not one of them.
Oh, fuck.
And
I gotta
it's-
get a smaller URL. Sorry, hang on.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. Well, so just while we're doing this, his comment was they're trying to become like the Gap, everything to everybody. And I think the definition of a brand is that you're not everything to everybody. You've got to be clear that you don't want certain customers coming in. Yeah, no riffraff.
agreed.
Yeah.
You mean like the guys who steal the Lululemons? Is that in Georgia?
Yeah, that's just terrible.
We don't want those. We're not making clothes for them, even though they are taking them.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
There's
also-
a link in the private chat there, Harry.
Okay. Excellent.
I put a link in our big chat, our external chat for the
Okay.
Ugly Man.
Oh,
The
actually,
Ugly
that
Men
one is a
data.
little bit better because it's a static photo instead of a video. That might be easier.
Yeah, mine's just article, but
That doesn't work.
Oh, hold on.
No, that was Skeps that he put in chat.
No, but Skeps does work here.
Yeah, it works
I'll
for
link
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah.
Skeps in the private chat too.
What'd you do, Harry? What did you
I don't know. I said copy link, and then I did this, and then I did that, and then it does this. Oh, here we are. Vancouver, British Columbia, 14 laughing men. What the hell is that?
They're 14 bare-chested bronze men, each 8.5 feet tall and 550 pounds.
Wow, that's some fine art right there.
And
Like,
that's by English, the English Bay. Anyway, it's
Chinese
downtown.
artist.
It's near the downtown beaches, and that on the other side of it, where the townhomes are and stuff, where you're looking at like $9 million apartments and stuff on the
Yeah.
other side. So like, just so you know the area it is in.
It's like some Japanese horror anime.
It's a Chinese artist, so yeah.
Yeah, well, the other thing
I
is
just
that I found
hate
here
him
is
for that.
I guess Google's been cutting way back on a lot of its diversity programs. My hot take on this is that may be what's happening on paper, but I think a lot of it's just become institutionalized. So it's
yeah.
now that it's
could.
sort of taken hold, it's not called that, but it's just sort of part of everything already. So just getting rid of some of the DEI people isn't going to fix the damage that they've already done. That's found its way to the
Sclerosis is
employee
already-
manual.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh well, that's enough about DEI. Let's move on to literally anything else.
ABC.
Okay. So, in the internet security thing for tonight, 23andMe tells victims it's their fault that their data was breached.
Well, to be fair, they're not wrong.
If you hadn't
didn't want
trusted
your data
us,
to be breached, you shouldn't have sent your DNA and personal information to 23andMe.
Okay, so let me tell you a little story about what happened here. So, 23andMe, when you give them your genetic material, right? They have a feature that lets you sort of match and be matched with other people that to find distant relatives and stuff. So there's sort of a linkage between your account and somebody else's if they match. So a lot of people who just use the same password everywhere, their passwords got compromised elsewhere. They worked their way back to 23andMe. There were about 40,000 of these accounts that had compromised passwords from other sources. These hackers got in, and then they used those linkages to their relatives to basically balloon out and get information on tons and tons and tons of people. And the whole thing with 23andMe blaming the victims is, well, you're an idiot for just reusing the same password everywhere. And then not paying attention to when your account was hacked and then not changing your password. They're not wrong, actually, but it's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look for them. It's awful from
It's not how you
from a
know.
relationship management standpoint, but in terms of what your responsibilities just as a responsible modern citizen is, you got to take care of that shit. Part of that is being a little bit disciplined about your internet security, your passwords and the like. This is a lecture that I've given many times to different grandchildren.
I do different passwords until the cookies fail and they kick me out and they're like, put your password in. I forgot my password. Here we go.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot my password is my best friend.
Yeah. Open Sesame. Okay. So this is.
I put 5s in for the S's in pass.
So you would think to yourself, people who are experts in this sort of thing would not let such things happen because computer security is important, right? And serious people do serious things to protect their stuff. So clearly this could never happen.
Never happen.
Law firm that handles data breaches was hit by data breach.
I love that.
All it takes is one stupid person.
An international law firm that works with companies affected by security incidents has experienced its own cyber attack that exposed the sensitive health information of hundreds of thousands of data breach victims. So, because they're a law firm, they had access to examples of the data that was basically lost by their customers. And then that data that was in their possession got stolen when they got hacked. So not only have these people been hacked, they've now been doubly hacked because somebody hacked the insurance company. So it's got health information, social security numbers, just all the stuff you would hope to never have be disclosed. 637,000 data breach victims. Information was leaked by this law firm. This is amazing. It's a San Francisco-based law firm.
Our lab, our provincial lab, had a data breach a couple of years back. So the labs where you go and get who does all your blood tests and various other things, they lost. I think it was a hack, what do they call ransomware or something?
Yeah,
ransomware.
Ransom attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
My stuff got released because of a application for a security clearance that was made by me a long time ago. That database got compromised. So a bunch of people, decades of people who had had paperwork put in for security clearances, got compromised. It was on somebody's laptop. And so you can imagine the stuff that's of mine that's floating around on the dark web. Mm-hmm. Every school I've ever gone to, social security number, who my friends are, just all of that stuff. All you can really do at some point is just tighten your security and, pay money to places to keep an eye on the dark web and see if your stuff starts getting passed around?
Change all of your passwords, all of your critical passwords. You know which ones are critical and which ones aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Change those passwords once a year. If you just do that much, you'll pretty much foil everybody.
Can you imagine what would happen to the world if, like, companies like 1Password got compromised? Because it's literally a password vault of the most secure passwords.
And they don't, and they keep them in a way that's very accessible too, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway, not thinking about that. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts. So we were talking about archaeology, or actually paleontology. So they've actually refined the techniques that they use to look for relationships between people in old degraded DNA samples. So it used to be that it was only capable of determining connections to the 2nd degree. Now they can do it up to the 6th by doing some clever sort of error correction, because DNA is basically code. And
DNA is code, right?
Yeah, and if you're really clever about it, you can take DNA and you can turn it into a signal that's actually recognizable. So in terms of figuring out who begat who and where they went,
where they went in particular,
where humans came from and where they moved along, those kinds of relationships, this is like 6 degrees gives you so much more power to figure out what humanity's past looked like.
The way that they did this is really interesting. They're looking for these, common long sequences of DNA, of common code. That's what they look for. And they had these older, substantially longer sequences. They said, we'd love to relate these. And it was the development of those, of the techniques to kind of fill in the missing pieces in the DNA using, some very, substantial computer tools to do that, to fill in the blank spots, to see what probably matches with what, see what other corroborating things can match with. It's the approach they went to it was just to improve their original process, and I think they improved it much more than they ever thought they could. That's the way this developed. I think they were surprised and delighted with the results.
Well, this is actually pretty
the
cool.
results were all roads lead to Kevin Bacon.
I will put the put the link in the chat in case anybody's curious. So yeah, this is cool.
We're all ninth cousins. You know that. It's that everyone is somebody. We're all ninth cousins. Everybody is a ninth cousin. Nobody's beyond a ninth cousin, probably. High degree of probability not beyond ninth cousins.
Let's see, how are we doing for time? Okay, we can talk about this briefly. Fossil evidence of photosynthesis gets 1 billion years older. Well, by looking at the composition of the atmosphere, we know that photosynthesis took place a few billion years ago. That's when it sort of started up. But in terms of being able to look at it from any other perspective, like where did this oxygen come from, before now, we really haven't got old records showing like the kinds of structures in the cells that you would expect to see if they had like the mechanism for doing photosynthesis. Well, so I have here, tracing the presence of oxygen in the atmosphere suggests photosynthesis evolved at least 2.4 billion years ago. Now, so coming at the fact from a different direction, now new fossils described by a team at the University of Shemp push unambiguous evidence of photosynthesis back over 1 billion years to 1.7 billion years ago. They took very, very thin slices of some of these fossils, and using an electron microscope, we're able to get these images. So what you're seeing here are the fossilized remains of like these stacks that exist in some organelles for photosynthesis in plants. And you can see those structures in these old fossils from 1.7 billion years ago.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
If I've got a very sharp knife and an electron microscope, look at all the fun you can have.
No kidding.
Well, it's
awesome.
People say, well, how can scientists know all of this stuff from the past? Well, one piece of information is easy to get wrong, but when you've got multiple pieces of information that all come up with similar answers, then you gain confidence in the data. And so being able to have fossils that that basically tell the same story as the gas samples gives us more confidence that we're not just talking out of our ass, which we most of the time are.
Fascinating to look at, though.
Speaking of talking out of your ass,
modern nukes don't have the radiation problem. Yeah, it's a different kind of weapon than the Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Nuclear weapons, if they're exploded, don't have a radiation problem?
Not if there's a hydrogen bombs. Not in the way that we used to have to worry about it with fallout and all the rest of that. What you really...
Okay.
Well, wait.
Neil deGrasse Tyson has no fucking clue what he's talking about. He's partially correct. Partially.
He's mostly wrong.
But what he doesn't seem to understand is at the core of a hydrogen bomb is a regular fission bomb.
Exactly.
This isn't some state secret. You actually need like a Hiroshima-style nuke at the center of this enriched envelope of hydrogen and stuff, and beryllium spheres and lithium, all that sort of crap. But anyway, but there's a regular bomb in there, plus all of those neutrons that come flying out of this hydrogen explosion.
Those slippery little neutrons
basically create radioisotopes in the surrounding area.
Exactly.
The idea that like hydrogen bombs are like this clean alternative to messy fission bombs.
Yeah.
It's like maybe like in terms of radiation relative to the amount of energy released, okay. But the idea that somehow radiation doesn't count because it's a clean hydrogen bomb, it's like he really needs to stay in his fucking lane. That's all I'm saying. He needs to shut up.
I can see where his wires are getting crossed because the advancements that they've made in selective tactical battlefield nuclear weapons can be destructive without being hyper expansive on the radioactive fallout. And I think and that's where he, like, you know, talking about hydrogen bombs. No, that's a completely different thing. Like, so excuse me. Yes, and mostly no.
He might be technically correct, but it's one of those things where to say that there's no issue with radiation is a complete it's just a falsehood. At best, he misspoke. At worst, he's an idiot.
I think both can be true.
Okay. The thing is, I used to like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I can never remember his name, so I used to jokingly call him Black Astronomy Guy.
Yeah, Black Astronomy.
I meant that with respect, but I just could not remember his stupid name, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He wants to be Carl Sagan so badly, and he's just not.
Yeah, he picked up the mantle and blew it.
You know, as a guy who runs the Hayden Planetarium, who would go on talk shows and stuff and talk about space stuff, I thought he actually did a pretty good job. It's only when he started venturing into other stuff that he starts to really piss me off.
Yeah. He needs to not moralize. He's too emotional. He gets all wrapped up in himself and you know how great he is, and he hasn't been told he's anything but a god for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, well,
and it's sad to see.
All right, well, let's see. So I guess this is technically space news, but I've got it under technology. Russia and China successfully test quantum communications over satellite. 3,800 kilometer test explores possible encrypted networks for BRICS countries. You know, if there were venture capitalists involved, I would assume this is just a thing that you say to try to get people to give you money. Because the problem with this is, okay, just so everybody knows, you hear about quantum entanglement, two particles, the state of one changes, the state of the other one changes, even separated by great distances. That's the fundamental part of this. Was it Einstein called it spooky action at a distance?
Distance, right.
And so if you say, well, it doesn't, speed of light's not an issue. We could just have something, you know, out beyond Pluto. And if we wanted to send a data signal, we could just, you know, twiddle this particle, this entangled particle, and it would cause similar changes. And that's how we would send and receive data. The problem is that things can quickly become not entangled. And saying that you're able to demonstrate that you send a few bits of information over a link like this is one thing, but turning it into a practical thing is a whole different thing. I kind of think this is never going to happen in any meaningful sense.
Never as a long time, but
Well, like maybe not as like a real encrypted communication channel, like maybe as an out of band control thing or a communication thing of last result, but
That's
not
the
for
way I
something
was
that's going to
thinking.
send a lot of data. You're not going to send a lot of data with something like this.
No, that I was thinking about like an instruction, almost like an operating system.
Yeah.
Or other. Never mind. I was going to start making analogies. Go on.
So I don't know if any of our semiconductor people are in the audience, but researchers at Georgia Tech have actually made a functional graphene semiconductor because silicon is just so last century. We look at Moore's law and basically the doubling of computer power every 6 months. Well, that clearly isn't happening anymore. And we're just throwing more and more cores at things to get things to scale, because even with 2 and 3 nanometer processes, you can only make silicon junctions so small. To speed up the rate at which these things can switch and just change the fundamental properties of it, you need to look at different materials. And graphene might be one of these, but it took them 10 years just to get to the point of making a demonstration thing. This is so far from being a thing that you're going to go buy at Radio Shack that it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you got the production processes that have to be created. That takes a long time.
Yeah, it does. So just as an example, we talk about like fancy space planes and stuff all the time. So here's an article from 2015 claiming that in 2030, we'd have the super quiet Progress Eagle, which is 3 decks tall, and it was going to generate its own power, and it could hold 800 passengers. Look at that. Look at that chunky plane.
I like it already.
I didn't realize that in just 6 years, we're going to have this thing, Skep. Isn't that amazing?
That's
because
amazing.
in 2015, they were going to have this thing built by 2030. So why isn't it happening? Because we see this kind of crap all the time. And I think it's healthy to remember that a lot of these things are just things you say to make VCs give you money. And you always put the delivery date just far enough away that it doesn't seem impossible, but not so far that it seems like you're jerking their chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard not to be skeptical. His design uses 6 hydrogen fuel engines, one to drive a central screw-type engine at the rear to achieve the thrust needed to take off, along with 5 superconductive engines. Oh, good. I'm just going to reach in my bag of tricks and pull out 5 superconductive engines. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
Once it reaches the right altitude, however, the central engine turns off and starts to generate electricity from the air flowing through it. So they're doing the thing with the magnet that goes in front of the truck that pulls the truck that carries the magnet.
Yeah, the sailboat with the electric fan on it.
Yeah. This looks amazing. I can't wait for them to finish this in 6 years. No, I think it's got solar panels on the wings and just all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It is pretty fantastic. Future
How
airplane.
does it land?
Magic.
How much runway would you need for that to land?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
also,
God!
it
looks like a humpback whale upside down.
So they have one flying, because I see it flying with the other planes.
I wonder if this is a video. I actually hadn't looked to see if this video still works. Ooh. Oh, clearly this is a thing that's going to happen. Oh, it's got solar power, kinetic power, heat power. Yeah, this is great. This is let your powers combine to perform to create bullshit, man.
It looks like something from like
I'm very sweary tonight. Sorry.
Astro Boy cartoons, Japanese Astro Boy.
Yeah, it's utter bullshit.
Well, the 1960s World's Fair.
That's right. Hamina.
Airbus A380.
Look at the ailerons on
you
that
and
one.
your family too can travel the skies in relative comfort, knowing that you too are saving the planet from dirty CO2 emissions.
Okay, so I've got another culture thing. Maybe this is another one of these things where you guys can explain this to me. I wasn't really aware of Tunnel Girl. So I guess there's some woman on TikTok who started digging tunnels underneath her house as part of like a shelter, and so they had to sort of have an intervention and tell her to stop. Are you familiar with Tunnel Girl?
No, what?
Vaguely.
What began as a characteristically quirky TikTok anecdote of a person on a curious home renovation style mission has become a messy source of debate, speculation, and even political contention. At the center of the drama is TikTok account called engineer.everything. It's run by a woman known as Kayla, and the account's posts date back to 2022, when she announced she would be building a storm shelter at the side of her basement. Over time, her project became increasingly ambitious. Dozens of videos show her often wearing pearls and perfectly manicured nails alongside her construction hat, drilling into underground rock, pouring concrete, and installing support beams. Some also show the exterior of her home, where she appears to have a debris disposal system set up and an industrial-sized dumpster. So people started becoming concerned because what they're calling is hobby tunneling, a passion for underground digging typically associated with men. Stories of people engaging in tunneling have gone in the viral past. So, like Colin Furs has a channel, which I really enjoy. He built a bunker under his house. He's got tunnels and stuff, but he, lined the ceilings with steel and put in like an infotainment system and air recirculation. Right. And he did all the engineering right because he was being sponsored. As far as I can tell, Kayla's just digging a bunch of holes underneath her house.
No. From what I saw, maybe like 6 months ago, it looked. I mean, I'm not a structural engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but there were supports and sub pumps and reinforced stuff and lighting, and like it looked like she kind of knew what she was doing. I don't know, but I mean, it's okay, freedom. If she dies, oh well. The only concern I would have is if it then interferes with her neighbors or something, or
or causes her house to be swallowed up in a sinkhole or something and catches fire. And then, so it says here, many of her videos disclose issues she's run into along the way, with some appearing dangerous, like exposed wiring and electrical equipment, crumbling structures, and even a fire breaking out in the underground space, leading viewers to express concern. Yeah, I totally endorse, if she's not hurting anybody and she wants to bury herself alive in a tunnel, I think that's her right.
Yeah.
I don't particularly have a problem with it.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, unless she's definitely crazy and can't take care of herself, I think the state should just get off her neck.
If they want to kill themselves through their own stupidity and incompetence, go to town.
Yeah.
Does she have the permits or whatever she needs to actually be doing that per wherever she's there? Then that's fine, right?
Well, I don't know what permits you need. I mean, obviously to renovate your house you need permits.
Well, don't you guys have like
oh, we have
before you dig call, in case there's like sewer pipes and that kind of stuff on the ground.
Oh yeah.
So because the thing is that if she bursts a pipe, for example, right, that screws up for the neighbors. I wouldn't be happy with that. But if she's just like, yay, let's dig a hole. Go dig a hole. I don't care.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Well, funny that you should mention that. TSA director arrested by U.S. Customs and Border Control. McNamara is charged with assisting in a forgery of documents transferring property from an elderly relative with dementia to herself and an accomplice. So yeah, government oversight is a great thing, except when you can use it to try to steal property from old people. Yeah, we do have building inspectors. And some of them are even competent. I don't know. Tunnel girl.
She's got a finance degree, no engineering experience.
Well,
where is she? What state or country is she building in?
She is surrounded. She's only on a quarter of an acre, but she does have direct neighbors, so it is sort of like a suburban area. Yeah, that's kind of messed.
Yeah, but where, like, what state or country does she live in?
I don't know. I didn't.
Because that's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to find out. Because it's like, if this is America, it depends on the state and the county and the district. If it's England, I don't know.
They actually encourage it.
I'm pretty sure it's America.
In Gaza, they encourage it.
It looks like it's near Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, because they take so well to that.
Yeah.
Oh, she's in Herndon.
Oh, Herndon,
Virginia.
Yeah, she's in Herndon.
Right.
Maybe she can get a job with the TSA. Yeah, I just don't trust the people that are supposedly take care of us with building permits or other stuff. I mean, I actually don't particularly have a problem with well-run permitting departments. If it's the kind of thing where, like, if a home builder's doing something themselves, they can come in and they'll actually give them some advice about, like, how they can pass code and not have their roof collapse on them. I'm okay with that for the most part. I know that doesn't make me a proper libertarian, but I never claimed to be a proper libertarian.
Libertarians are not lawless. We like laws. We just want intelligent ones.
Yeah.
Honey, that's giving the human race way too much credit.
Yeah, I know I'm not being realistic. But that's
We're all dumb.
So here's a nothing burger for you, Scap.
okay.
New crypto law takes effect in U.S. Transactions of 10,000 or more must be reported to IRS within 15 days. Now, people are reporting this like it's some amazing thing. All they're doing is treating Bitcoin the same way they treat cash.
Right.
Yep.
That's all this
Bank
is.
Information Act. The Bank Information Act requires $10,000 transaction of $10,000 or more. That kind of movement of capital in one account to be reported to the IRS. And what they're saying is you have to do that with crypto. Now, here's the thing with crypto. There is no way to know about that transaction. I mean, without one of the principals telling you about it. That's the point. That's how crypto works.
Yeah.
I don't know why they think anyone will ever report anything they do in crypto. Anybody who reported something, a crypto transaction, they would be mocked. They did.
Well,
It's a law with no teeth.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a
the
law
thing
with no teeth.
The thing is like, all you have to do is get a hold of the main wallet. If you get the main wallet, you can get the transaction, or you can get the line of code, and then you can find out where everything went. That's how most people have caught people like Logan Paul and stuff like that on their falseness
I
of what
realize
they've done.
that's how it works.
Just
but
yank the old blockchain.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is that all they have to do is basically get one person for fraud, take their blockchain, and then they just follow the rest of the blockchains and see whose wallets have gone to what, and they can get a whole bunch of people real freaking quick.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I don't think there's a lot of Bitcoin that's actually worth $10,000.
Yeah, and by the way, we're not giving you financial advice. Talk to your accountant, and then he'll tell you to report your stuff. So let's see. I'm going to skip this because Gunsky's not here. This is actually just pretty funny, if true. New York City announces lawsuit against bus companies sending illegal aliens to city, seeks $788 million. So you're familiar with this, right, Serenity?
Yep. Because
tell me about this, please.
So, okay, the last time I saw an update on it was Nate the lawyer on YouTube was talking about it.
Okay.
And basically, they can't stop the states that are sending the migrants. So now they're going after the bus companies. But the bus companies, I can't remember what the loophole he said they found was, but the bus companies have found a loophole around it and are still doing it. But he's basically trying to sue them so this way the bus companies will cut off service. So this way they won't drop anybody off because he's too much of a coward. That's the only
They might be getting the DOJ directly involved because they can go, and it's so one-sided, but they could go after certain ones for knowingly facilitating human trafficking, which is ironic because it's the DOJ who's allowing the human trafficking to go before they even get on a bus.
This is not human trafficking.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Well,
Harry, it's never mind.
Yeah.
Well, no, the thing is like the way that they're doing it is that a lot of the way the buses some of the bus lines are getting around it, the charter bus lines, is that these are normal charter bus lines. So they're just claiming that it's like, well, this is a normal line we take anyway. You can't cut this off because we go to New York anyway. Screw you. Or there was one, I can't remember the name of the charter company, but the charter company just stopped, like, I think it was like 15 feet outside of the line for New York City and dropped people off. There's several of them that have found ways around it.
Does this sound like a slap suit to you, Skep?
Maybe.
Because it may not be technically a
could be.
slap suit, but it's essentially the
Yeah.
same thing. They're trying to use
That's
intimidation
right.
to get their way. Because I don't think they have a legal basis for it. I mean, I'm a layperson. What do I know? But essentially, a bus company, maybe they need to have licenses to function in New York State, and they could yank their licenses. That's a thing they could do, maybe. But even then, there's probably some kind of due process for that.
I don't think this has any chance at all.
Well, and it's also really dangerous with the charter company because very rarely are they a one-line charter company. And New York City relies on some of these to get people to go to New York City to spend money. So it's like if you're going to yank their license, you're fucking everything up.
Yeah,
So
so like a bunch of people from
Or cut off
from
their nose to
Shady
spite their
Acres,
face.
from the Driftwood retirement home or something, get on a bus and then they go to New York City to spend their money, and then they can't because the bus can't go there.
Yeah, well, it's like there's a bus that's down here in West Virginia that goes from the Capitol that does a full drive from Charleston to New York City, is there for 24 hours. You sleep on the bus, you get to New York City, there, and then you go around New York City, get back on the bus at the end of the day, come back home.
Wow.
And it's not very expensive. There's a lot of buses that do that.
Let me tell you, even if they manage to pressure these bus companies to do that, there will still be alternatives. That's just a situation that is that's easily solvable. So I think His Honor is desperate. They're getting scared at the effect that having all these migrants coming into their city is having, and all the stress that's putting on the city services and the like. They're seeing the true cost of having a porous border, and I think it's great that it's coming home to them. I think it's great that they're starting to feel some of the heat from this.
Well, they're trying to attack one of the symptoms of a problem that they
not even
cannot.
doing that. They're just trying to deny it.
Well, I mean, they can't or won't speak against the root causes. Obviously, like you said, the porous border. Adams won't speak out against the.
He just wants to put his head under the desk, and I've got other problems to deal with. Don't send these people to my city.
Oh well, let's talk about my backyard. Let's not talk about the big problem. Just talk about my backyard.
I actually confronted someone who was rather highly placed in the government, in the United States government, and asked them about this. And this is a NIMBY problem, and they had no answer for me. And it was about this very thing about it's an old friend of mine, somebody I went to high school with, and we were talking about it, and he said, you guys are sending all these people up to the Northeast, and it's putting a lot of pressure on these people. And I said, good.
Yep.
I said, what do you expect us to do? Eagle Pass, Texas has a population of 15,000. They've taken in over 100,000 immigrants into their town in the last year. Do you know what Eagle Pass looks like right now? It looks like a fucking concentration camp.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's hideous. And so, as far as I'm concerned, no, we need a little bit of relief. We got to get some of these guys out of it.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, if you're going to declare yourself a sanctuary city, cool. Here you
Yeah,
go.
Mazel tov.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bohica.
He won't take away his sanctuary city status.
Skep knows what Skep knows what Bohica stands for, doesn't he? I suspect there's a few people in chat that might know as well.
Don't kill Skep, Harry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, one more thing before we have our final thing, which is many of you people probably know that California is full of freaking eucalyptus trees. Stupid upside down Australian trees love to grow in California. And some people have finally figured out, well, maybe instead of letting these things like choke out the life of all the native species, we could just chop them down. And where they've started doing this is around a place called Elkhorn Slough, which is place in Monterey Bay where
Monterey,
there's sea lions and stuff, and it's actually a great place if you like bird watching. It's one of the best places in the world to go. Lots and lots of species of things. So they've gone through, like, here's some oak trees that were basically stuck underneath eucalyptus until they chopped it down. Oak trees are not supposed to look like that. That is
really cool
the
looking.
eucalyptus trees are very, very. They suck all the water out of all the surrounding areas. They really really rob it of minerals too. It's amazing. They really do suck the ground dry. And I lived on an island. Yerba Buena Island was thickly forested at the time I lived there. With eucalyptus. They've chopped most of that down. They just have a few trees remaining on Yerba Buena Island that are eucalyptus anymore. But that used to be just completely covered in eucalyptus.
Well, unlike other types of invasive species like insects and small mammals and things, if you don't like eucalyptus trees, you can just chop them down. It's a totally possible thing to do. Now, they have found that eucalyptus, a number of the monarch butterflies have decided that when they migrate, that they think eucalyptus trees are just swell. And some of the birds have too. So they're not chopping down all of them. So if it's a place where monarchs like to hang out, they're like, cool, this one can stay. But in areas where that's not happening, they're just going and they're finally chopping these damn things down. Because,
by the way, the monarchs really come through the area around Monterey. There's an area called Jack's Peak. I'll bet you know where that
Monterey
is.
And Capitola, Pacific Grove. Pacific
PG,
Grove,
right.
all along here, all up and through Santa Cruz. There's a bunch of places where monarchs go. This is their migratory path. And they're like, hey, it's kind of nice here by the ocean. So they just plow through Central California, through the coast.
Yep.
And it's kind of weird when you walk into one of these areas and the trees are just covered with clumps of these monarch butterflies they've got their wings all folded together and they're very close to each other to keep warm.
Yes, exactly.
That's what they do during the winter is they basically go to, Santa Cruz and they just hang out.
Okay. Do anyway.
So I don't want you to be disappointed in me because from the Department of Giggity, I bring you.
Woohoo! Okay.
Good vibes created by bladeless wind energy tech. Can a Skybrader contribute to wind energy generation?
Oh, for crying out loud.
I don't even know what to say.
So, don't need a big bitch.
So this European design firm decided that putting blades in cities is just it's gauche, makes a lot of noise. It Cuisinarts a bunch of birds. What if we came up with a new design? So the new design, which they're calling the Skybrader, it might be hard to take a device nicknamed Skybrader seriously, and you may continue to giggle after seeing the machine in action.
Yes.
But the bladeless wind energy tech under development in Spain aims to be a solution to wind power issues, even if it's not a silver bullet.
Giggity.
Yeah, giggity. Vortex Bladeless, a startup company in Avila, northwest of Madrid, has designed an upright cylindrical wind energy harvester that works by oscillating rather than using a rotating blade.
The Steely Dan model.
Because of its design, Vortex Bladeless claims the invention will be easier to manufacture and assemble, requiring fewer parts and less maintenance, function and less wind, blah, 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 blah. No need to reorient to different wind directions and be quieter and safer for birds and wildlife than conventional wind turbines. Also, unlike standard turbines, it apparently doesn't need lubrication. Yeah. So,
Just not even going to touch that.
it's the Skybrader.
The Skybrader.
Now,
I like that they probably like, you know what? We're going to get ahead of the jokes and just call it what it is.
Yeah.
just call it what it is.
Boom.
Woo!
Just
So
it's just fingering the wind.
Woohoo! Yeah, but can you imagine, at least with the big wind turbines,
Yeah.
they look kind of like pseudo-majestic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, why is that giant silver vibrator just sitting in the middle of that field? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
or on top of your house. Why do you have a giant dildo on top of your house? Like, what is this doing?
Well, I can't imagine that this is going to generate much power. This seems like more VC bait to me, about venture capitalist bait.
Just wait for the Thunderfoot, Skybrader busted. No, he'll put one out.
You know, I used to subscribe to that guy. He used to make videos that were kind of interesting, and then he just lost it.
He did. He's completely stepped around the bend. Every once in a while, he still makes a good video. He'll still make a chemistry video every now and then, but then he goes back to this lunacy.
Yeah.
He's so full of himself. That's a problem. I used to actually talk with him. I used to had a little bit of correspondence with Thunderfoot at one time.
Cannibalistic Wizard, we can't do that. It's considered slave labor.
Well, also, it's not an effective. The amount of energy it takes to make the food to feed the prisoners to run the treadmills is more. You actually lose. It's actually not an efficient way to generate power to have humans do it.
I stand by my statement. Who said we have to feed them?
Yeah, exactly.
If they're the hardcore ones who were just on murdering sprees,
Yeah, well, you know, I've talked to a bunch of people online. I mean, other than, let's see, Academic Agent, Potholer. I've actually talked to Potholer a few times. Yeah, the internet's an interesting place. The world gets very small.
It does. Surprised who you can talk to.
Yeah. Well, back in the early days of Usenet, I was completely blown away by some of the people that I could communicate with. God, it was a magical time. No riffraff on the internet back then. I mean, you could talk to really important people about really important stuff effortlessly. And now you have to jump through all these hoops to get a hold of people like that. But be that as it may. You doing okay there, Serenity?
I'm doing fine. I think I just heard Sora giggle. So that's the reason why
Yes, you did.
That's the reason why I laughed.
Because we, the riffraff, are now here.
That's right.
Exactly.
The
Can't
riffraff.
escape us, mother effer.
Well, I'm sort of paraphrasing Faulty Towers.
I just love the Skybraider name.
Yeah. Did you ever see, was it the Gourmet Night episode of Faulty Towers? Any of you? You know the one I'm talking about? Where he put out the little advertisement for Gourmet Night and it just said no riffraff at the bottom. Basil Faulty.
Because that's going to work.
All right. Well, do we have anything else that we would like to talk about tonight before we go?
Not really.
We're good?
Eh.
I feel that we've reached a natural conclusion.
Yeah.
I'll make the Skybraider go away.
Yay.
Might be triggering
like
for somebody.
I think you can follow much with the Skybraider. You know, that's
Yeah,
a good...
exactly. Well, if
That's a good ending.
well, you have wasted 2 hours with the Minions of the Zoo Saturday panel stream, whatever we call this thing.
No time is wasted when there's a Skybraider.
Yeah, no time is wasted.
Sora and I have hung around each other.
So anyway, thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. Zoo's closed.